Okay, so when it comes to mixing and EQing things, today we're going to be talking about guitars, but it's the same with anything. At the EQing stage, we're not looking to make it sound great. It should already sound great. Essentially, all the EQ is for is to make sure that we've got a balanced sound, that nothing's too high or low, like your lows are taking over the mix or something like that. Your highs might be a little bit peaky and harsh on the ear. You want a balanced sound of the individual instrument and track, and you want it to blend in with the rest of what's going on in the mix, the rest of the band. So you don't want, like the guitars we're talking about today, to be stomping all over the bass. As a general rule, when we're looking at guitars, I tend to find the low mids can be a little bit muddy, and if you've got an absolute shredder who's shredding away there with his solos, you might find that the highs can be a little bit peaky and harsh on the ears. But I don't go into the mix with a preconceived idea. We listen to it. So we've got an example for you here. Some guitars that we recorded the other week on a video where we were comparing analog to digital recording techniques and seeing if there was a difference. So you can go and watch that. But these are just some guitars on their own. So normally you'd be EQing guitars in context with the rest of the band, and we'll take a look at that in a moment. But we'll just listen to these ones on their own here. So just by listening to those, I can hear the mids and the low mids are a little bit muddy, so we might want to look at cleaning those up. Let's just back that up. Play it again. So once you've made a change to your EQ, you just want to flip your EQ on and off so that you can hear the difference. So as you can hear there, we've just pulled back the mids and the low mids a little bit. That would make room for a bass guitar or things like that. It's just crispened up the sound slightly. So that's a much cleaner sound now. Like I say, we've made minute changes to that. And so now let's take a look at an example with some other guitars and with the rest of the band. So like I say, when we're doing EQs, we're not looking to make any dramatic changes. I think if you're finding yourself doing that, then there's something's gone wrong in the recording process you need to perhaps take a look at. Just minute changes to make sure that everything's balanced and coming through nice and clear in the mix. So in this example, we've got a double-tracked guitar, so we've got two guitar tracks and the rest of the band. And we want to make sure that the guitars, that they sound great on their own and that they sound great with the rest of the band. So let's have a listen to the guitars here. We'll listen to guitar, this is the second guitar. And the first guitar. So I can hear that the first guitar track is slightly muddier than the second one. That's okay, they might go well together. We might pan them slightly apart in the mix, but just for now, for the sake of EQing, we'll listen to them straight down line in mono. So on this one, when we're listening back on its own, I can hear there are quite a lot of lows in there, and when we bring the bass in with it, which we can do now, it's interfering a little bit with the bass. So if we just take a look at those lows, the bit of the low mids, So I've made a couple of very, very small changes there. Just pulled back a little bit on the on some of the low mids to make it less muddy. We'll listen to it with the other guitar. Let's just listen to that one on its own first as well. Listen to them together. And panned apart, they sound quite good. We can bring the bass back in with those. So obviously we'll be EQing the bass as a separate issue, but at the moment we've not got the guitar stomping over the bass, the space where the bass is going to be. When it comes to doing analog EQ, one of the beauties about using analog is you're not EQing with your eyes. I find a lot these days in the studio, if you're mixing on a digital audio workstation, you will be looking at the EQ curve with your eyes, and this is it can be a bit of a bad habit. If you're starting to EQ with your eyes, you're not listening. You tend to recognise what sounded good perhaps in a previous session, and you'll be adjusting the EQ as you think it should look visually and not necessarily listening with your ears. So one of the beauties about using analog is, apart from it sounds better anyway, you're EQing solely with your ears. There's nothing to look at. There's no digital audio workstation. So I think that's it for EQing this week. If you've got any questions, feel free to put them in the comments section below, and we'll try and get around to answering them for you.